Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to True Yoga. This is all my face, sorry. We're going to do a 60-minute yoga flow here. I always say grab a block or a prop. You can always get like a pillow, little like hand towel, maybe fold it up. Just something to get the floor closer to you today. We're just going to do it's going to be more of a flow, holding poses for a few seconds, for a few breaths. We're going to get started today on our knees. You can have your feet flat. You want to make sure your shins are flat, tops of your feet are flat. And we're going to center ourselves here. Get our afternoon going, get it flowing. Just sit here, close your eyes, bring your hands to your knees, palms face up to your thighs. And just slowly start breathing in and out through your nose. This afternoon is going to be about yourself. This next 60 minutes is all for you. Block any negative thoughts, any negative energy that might be coming into you. You want to make sure you roll your shoulders down and back. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe focus on a word. Focus on a color. Maybe you have a mantra that you've been practicing. Use that. Come back to those things while you're in this flow to push you through this class. Every time you breathe in, feel your belly rise with air. And then exhale, you want to pull that belly toward your spine. Try to relax every muscle in your face. Let your eyes be heavy. Let your jaw relax. Let that tongue fall from the top of your mouth to the bottom. On your next inhale, take a deep inhale. And when we exhale, we're going to push the air out of our mouth, making an HA sound, like a So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Do it 2 more times just like that. One more time. Pushing all of that stale breath out of us. Start wiggling your fingers. Open your eyes. Bring your hands to heart center. And we're going to inhale. We're going to take 3 big Ujjayi breaths. Or I'm not Ujjayi. We are using our Ujjayi breath, doing pranayama breath. So we're going to inhale. We're going to let our hands come up and overhead. And then exhale. Bring your hands down and around. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. And then exhale. And your hands back to heart center. Slowly walk them out. Coming into our first tabletop. Go ahead and tap out your feet. They're probably getting that new blood flow back into them. Wiggle your toes. First, let's set up our knees. We want them about hips distance. You measure by placing 2 fists in the middle of your knees. That's about how far your hips are apart. Make sure your hips are over your knees. Spread your hands, your fingers wide. Spread them wide, wide, wide. Cup the mat, and make sure your shoulders are over your wrist. We're going to just warm our spine up with a couple cat-cows. So on your inhale, we're going to take a really deep inhale. We're going to let our belly hang heavy. Take your eye gaze all the way up. And then we're going to exhale. Bring your chin into your chest. Pull your belly to your spine. Round and curl. And then inhale. Let that belly hang heavy. Eye gaze up. And then exhale. Round and curl. One more time at your own pace. Inhale. Let that belly hang heavy. Eye gaze up, 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 up. And then exhale. Coming back to a neutral tabletop. I'm going to take this right hand and let's reach it all the way up to the sky. Reach, 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 reach. We're going to bring this right hand and we're going to thread it under our left. And we're going to let our shoulder come flat onto the mat and then our ear. Let your right hand be flat onto the mat, onto the floor, palm face down. And that left hand, you want to frog finger it. And that's like coming up onto the tips of your fingers. Or you could always take it out to the top of the mat. Really try to level out your shoulders here. We're just getting a little shoulder stretch going. Just breathe in and out through your nose. If you want to try a little bind here, you could take this left hand, reach it around, hook it inside of that right thigh. From here, you really want to open up that left shoulder. Remember to keep laying onto that right shoulder. If you reached around, everybody come back up to the front of the mat. Walk that left hand towards your face. And we're going to inhale. Bring that right hand all the way up. And exhale, bring it back down to the mat. Let's take one cat-cow here to reset our spine. Inhale, let that belly hang heavy. And then exhale, round and curl. Come back to center. We're going to inhale, lift that left hand all the way up to the ceiling. Spread those fingers wide. Reach, 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 reach. Now thread this left hand underneath that right, letting that palm go flat onto the ground, bringing your ear to the mat, your shoulder to the mat. Come high onto those right fingertips, or you can walk it out to the top of your mat. If you went for the bind on the other side, give yourself a few breaths here before you reach around. Just stretching out our shoulders this afternoon. Take that bind if you did so on the other side. And from here, you really want to make sure you're opening up that shoulder. If you took the bind, bring that hand back and around. Place it on the mat. Take a breath here. And then slowly walk that hand back to your face. Inhale, reach that left hand all the way up to the ceiling. And then exhale, bring it down and around. Take this one cat-cow. Inhale, let the belly hang heavy. And then exhale, round and curl. Come back to your neutral tabletop. Make sure those shoulders are over the wrists. Spread those fingers wide. Tuck the toes behind you. Make sure they're all tucked behind you. And all we're going to do is lift our knees up off the mat. Just let them hover here just for a moment. Feel that engagement. And then you're going to push your hips all the way up and back. Melt your chest towards your thighs. Coming into your first down dog. It's our first down dog. Your legs may be a little tight. Maybe you want to bend that right knee, then the left. Just wiggle them out, waking up those legs. Find some stillness. Come high onto those tiptoes. And we're going to drop our heels over to the right side. So drop them down just like that. And then push your hips up and back. Should really feel that on that left leg. Really tight out. Good stretch there. Inhale, come high onto those tiptoes. And then exhale, drop your heels over to the left now. Make sure you're pushing those hips up and back. Inhale, come high onto those tiptoes. Exhale, drop those heels down. And maybe take one step out with that right foot and then one step out with that left foot. Here we're just going to reach our left hand to our right ankle and just give ourselves a little pull. Try to look underneath that right shoulder. Bring that left hand back towards the mat. Now take that right hand, reach for the left ankle, and pull yourself up and pull yourself back. Try to look underneath that left shoulder. Slowly come back to center. Both hands flat on the mat. Heel toe your feet back together, about hips distance. Coming back into a down dog. Roll those shoulders down and out of your ears. Pull your belly to your spine and push those hips just a little bit higher. If you can't get your feet flat to the ground, that's okay, guys. Keep your knees bent. Keep them bent, but keep pushing those hips up. We're going to inhale, reach that right foot all the way up to the ceiling. And then exhale, bring that right knee into your chest, roll it forward, place that right foot in between your hands. If you can't lift that foot all the way up and bring it under, that's okay. Drop down to your knees and swing that right foot around. Place it in between your hands, tuck your toes, come off that back knee. We're in a runner's lunge on the right side. You want to make sure your right knee is over that ankle. Pull this hip back, left hip forward. You want to make sure you're lifting up through that hamstring. You're going to inhale and then exhale. Bring that left foot up to meet the right. Coming into this first forward fold, Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your belly to rest on your thighs. You want to get your hands flat onto the mat. If you have a block, you could also bring the mat up to you, or you can even, if you have a little hand towel, you can also do that as well. But if you can't get your hands all the way to the floor, that's okay. You want to make sure to bend your knees. Let that belly rest on your thighs. Let your head hang heavy. Breathing in and out through your nose. Slowly start rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Let those fingers drag across the tops of your legs. You're going to inhale, reach those hands up and overhead. Let those pinkies touch. Cactus your arms, back bend, let it go. Inhale your hands up and overhead. And then exhale, swan dive forward. Pull your belly to your spine. Hands come down to the mat. Then inhale, take that right foot, step it back, swing that left foot around to meet it. We're in our first plank. Everybody at your first plank, you could drop down to your knees, let those shins go flat. Make sure you're spreading those fingers wide, shoulders over those wrists. We're going to hug our elbows into our rib cage while we come down. So everybody come halfway down. You want to hold yourself. You don't want your chest to go past your arms. You want to make sure you're right here. Don't go any further. Inhale, push yourself back up. And then exhale, we're going to come all the way down. Pull your chest up and through, coming into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. upward facing dog. You want to make sure you're pushing through those tops of your feet. Roll those shoulders down out of your ears. We always talk about this. You don't want your shoulders dipping in. You want to make sure you're pushing away. You're going to tuck your toes, tuck your chin, lift your hips, push back down to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Make sure you roll those shoulders down and out of your ears. Moving to the left side, lift that left foot all the way up to the sky. Remember, guys, if you can't do this, drop down to your knees. Swing that left foot around. Place it in between your hands. And then come up off that back knee if you had to modify. You want to make sure the same thing here. Good runner's lunge. Push up through this back leg. Inhale. And then exhale. Bring that right foot up to meet the left. Slowly roll up, one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, hands up and overhead. And then exhale, back bend, let it go. Inhale up. Exhale, swan dive forward. You're going to step back with that left foot. Then swing that right foot back and around. Everybody drop to their knees. Let those shins go flat. Shift that body weight slightly over the wrist. Exhale, you're going to hug those elbows into the rib cage. Inhale up. Exhale, come down and through. Pull that chest up and through. Push up to upward facing dog. Here, take that eye gaze, look all the way up to the ceiling. Feel that nice stretch alongside of that front part of your body. Bring your chin to your chest. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, push away. Breathing in and out through your nose. We're going to inhale, lift that right foot up to the sky, point the toes. Now drop that foot hip height. You want to make sure your hips are level. If you can see me here, you don't want your hip up here. You want your hips to be level down towards the mat. Flex that foot towards your face. Act like you're pushing behind you away with that heel. Working on internal and external rotation of the hips. Keep on pushing. Tap your toes down. Inhale, halfways up. Make sure you can see your toes. This is internal rotation. Now point those toes behind you. Point them. Now that you're pointing them, reach that feet all the way up to the sky. Stack those hips and then bend that knee. Still keep pushing the mat away. Make sure you're not dipping too much into that left shoulder. Square off your shoulders. I always like to take a look in between my hands, make sure I'm squared before I take a look over that left shoulder. This right here is external rotation of the hip. Inhale, lift that foot all the way up to the sky. Bring that knee into your chest. Pull that all the way. Place that foot underneath your heart. You want to drop that back foot 45 degrees, so you kind of want to catty-corner with your mat. You want to still make sure your hips are in alignment. If you have a block, please grab it now, and if you don't, that's okay. I'll show you how to do this without a block as well. Inhale, and then exhale. Bring that right hand to that right hip. Place that block in that left hand. We're going to inhale, come all the way up. Bring that hand up and overhead. You want to make sure you roll your shoulder down and out of your ear. You want to micro bend into that knee. You don't want it bent, but you don't want it locked as either. You don't want to hyperextend, get a knee injury. But with this right hand, see how my hips, I look like I'm turning this way. Try to pull this right hip back. Square up through your hips. Roll that left shoulder down and out of your ear. We're going to inhale. You're going to try to reach just a little bit higher. And then exhale, we're going to come down. Stopping about halfway. Keep pulling this right hip back. If you notice when I came down, I started going this way. No, let's pull those right hip back. Left hip forward. Your eye gaze should be in front of that big toe, about 6 inches. If you have that block, bring it down to the mat about an inch in front of that big toe. And you're going to shift that body weight slightly over your wrist. And you want to keep pulling this right hip back. Keep pulling it back. Keep pulling it back. And you don't want to, you don't want that left heel to be up. You want your feet to be flat. So depending how tall you are, is going to depend how far your feet are apart. But make sure both feet are flat onto the ground. If you have this block here, start turning, twisting, looking over that right shoulder. And if you got it, you can reach that hand up to the ceiling. If you don't have a block, you could use the floor. But what I really want you guys to feel is that hip pulling back. So if you don't have a block to modify, you want to place both your hands onto your shin here. And you want to still keep pulling. You want to pull those shoulders out. Reach the crown of your head forward. Have that eye gaze in front of your toes, and just really feel that stretch alongside of that backside of that right leg. This is a modification, and it's the same benefit as if you were to have your hand on the block turning this way. Take a few more breaths here. Slowly release your hands to the mat. Bend that knee, bring your hands to your hips, and come all the way up. We're going to turn around and face behind us. So come high onto that heel of that right foot. Come high onto the ball of that left foot. Turn all the way around till you come to the back side of your mat. Feet should stay exactly in the same position. We just switched sides. On that side, we had our leg straight. On this side, we're going to bend that left knee. Bend it, bend it, bend it. But don't bend it and let your body go forward. You want to bend your knee and keep your body still straight. Inhale, hands up and overhead. And you want to make sure roll those shoulders down and out of your ears. Bring your hands into a prayer position. Hook your thumb, one of your thumbs around your hands. Make sure your shoulders are out of your ears. Be patient here just for a moment. Bring your chin into your chest and pull your belly to your spine. When you bring your chin into your chest and you pull your belly to your spine, your body automatically wants to start rounding and curling, coming down, bringing your forehead to your knee. This pose is all about getting your forehead to your knee. You could separate your hands, frame your foot for stability, or you could keep them in prayer. But from here, you want to make sure that your forehead is on your knee. So bend your knee as much as you need to get that forehead on there. You want to pull that belly. You want to get that belly as close as you can to your spine. Pulling up to that pelvic floor. When you're rounding and curling, you're creating this Mahabandha. It's your internal flame. That's what starts getting us sweating. That's what helps our metabolism. If you've separated your hands, bring them back into prayer. Keep that chin tucked to your chest. From here, to keep your stability, try to squeeze your thighs together. Act like you're ripping the mat apart with your feet. Keep your chin tucked. Come up, come up, come up, come up. And then keep your hands still in the prayer position. And we're going to turn back around to the front side of our mat. Keep them here. Come all the way back. Come all the way back to the front. We're going to exhale. Bring those hands down and around to your back. I'm going to turn and show you can either reach for opposite elbows, opposite wrists, or if you could do a reverse prayer, you could also do this as well. But if you do this, guys, make sure your hands are completely touching. You want them flat. You don't want no gap. Maybe they're just down here for now. Just wherever you're comfortable. I prefer to grab opposite elbows because when we're in this position, you want to have a flat back when we go down, and you want to keep that front leg straight, not bent. This, I feel, helps your back stay level, your hips stay level when you reach for opposite elbows. We're going to inhale, reach up, And then exhale, come halfway down. Keep a flat back. Remember, guys, keep pulling that right hip back, left hip forward. Stopping halfway. Your eye gaze should be in front of that big toe, 6 inches. And then slowly come down. If you got it in you, and you could try to get your chin to your shin and your nose to your toes. But if your leg starts to bend, come up just a little bit. Every day we get closer and closer. So if it bends, just come up that little bit. If your back starts to round, come up and straighten it out. Slowly release those hands down towards the mat. Walk your hands out one hand length, then another. You're going to kick that right foot back to meet the left. Push it into your down dog. You're going to inhale, come high onto those tiptoes. Shift your body weight forward, coming into your plank position. Going to take our first chaturanga. Our chaturanga in a plank like this. If you need to drop down to your knees like we did before, you could do that as well. So you just shift that body weight slightly over those wrists, hug those elbows in, halfway down, inhale up, exhale, come down and through, pull that chest up and through, Urdhva Mukha. Tuck your chin to your chest, tuck your toes, push the mat away, downward facing dog. Working on our left side. We're going to inhale, bring that foot, point the toes, lift it all the way up, and then drop your foot hip height. Just like I explained on the other side, make sure to see your toes, flex that foot towards your face. Act like you're pushing behind you away with that heel. Make sure your hips are level. You don't want them one side to the other. Just keep them level. Internal rotation, tap those toes to the ground. Inhale, come up. And then you're going to point the toes behind you, and then lift. Lift that foot all the way up. Stack your hips. Like I said, don't dip too much to one side. Square your shoulders up. Then bend that knee. Take a look over that shoulder. Inhale, come back hip height. And then exhale, bring that knee into your chest. Roll it forward. Place that foot underneath your heart. Drop that back foot, 45. You might need to step up. I'm kind of short, so my stance is a little shorter than some of you guys. Make sure your heels are in alignment. This foot should be catty-cornered with your mat. Get that block if you have it. Bring it to your right hand. Bring your left hand to your left hip, and slowly come all the way up. Focus breathing in and out through your nose. You want to pull this left hip back. Keep pushing this right hip forward. You want to roll this shoulder down and out of your ear. Micro bend to that left knee. Just be patient just for a moment here. Hold the pose. And then exhale, coming halfway down. Make sure you're still pulling that left hip back, right hip forward. And then continue dropping that block down. You could also do it from here on your hand, whatever is easier for you. This one when your hand flat on the floor, you have to have really stretchy hamstrings. And if you don't have that block, remember we took this modification, pushing your forehead or the crown of your head out. Keep pulling that left hip back, right hip forward. And if you have your hand here or on the mat, I should have said this on the other side as well, and your shoulders are stacking while you're twisting, if your shoulders stack on top of each other, then reach that left hand up to the ceiling. But if your shoulder's over here, don't focus on trying to reach that hand up. Keep your hand on that hip and try to focus on opening the shoulder up so that the shoulders begin to stack on top of each other. If you're reaching that hand up to the ceiling, bring it down to the mat. frame that foot, bend that left knee, bring your hands to your hips, and come all the way up. We're going to rotate around to the other side. Remember, feet should stay exactly the same. All we did was move to turn around, so keep them the same length apart, 45 with that back foot. Then bend this right knee. So I get my rights and my left confused a lot, so I apologize. But this is your right. Bend that right knee. Inhale, hands up and overhead. And remember, like I said, don't lean your body forward. You want to, when we're bending, all we're doing is bending this knee. So you want to keep your shoulders, your hips, you want to keep them in line and just bend the knee. You don't want to lean forward. Hands in prayer. Whatever thumb you wrapped around the first time, try to do the opposite. And you can tell because it's going to feel funky. Inhale, in and out through the nose. Patience here in the pose. Bring your chin to your chest. Bring your belly to your spine. And then round and curl. Remember, bend that knee. Get that forehead to touch your knee. Separate your hands for stability. Keep that knee bent as much as you can. Get that forehead there. Try to pull up through your pelvic floor. Pull that belly to your spine. Keep that chin tucked into that little nook in your chest. If you separated your hands, bring them back into prayer. Keep that chin tucked to your chest. Try to squeeze your thighs together. Come all the way up one vertebrae at a time. Turn back to the front of the mat. Come all the way around, all the way around. Feet exactly the same. Then you're going to release those hands behind you. Take you whatever grip that you prefer. Make sure you roll those shoulders down and out of your ears. Straighten your legs, micro bend to the knees. You're going to inhale, reach that crown of the head up. And then exhale, come down. Make sure you're pulling that left hip back, flat back, flat back. Eye gaze in front of that big toe. Make sure you have a nice long back, nice long spine. You want a nice long spine. Try to, if you want a little bit more, try to get that chin to your shin, your nose to your toes. Slowly drop those hands down to the mat. Walk it out one hand length, then another. Reach that left foot back to meet the right. And then inhale, come into that plank pose. Exhale, hug those elbows in, chaturanga. Come up and through, Urdhva Mukha. Tuck your chin, lift your hips, push it back, Adho Mukha. Breathe in and out through your nose here. Come high onto those tiptoes, bend those knees, look in between your hands, and slowly drop down into a tabletop. And work on a little bit of a half moon from the floor, side plank. I want to make sure your knees are, your shins are flat. Place that left hand down on the floor, and you want to kick this left foot out, like kickstand it behind you, and then take this right foot and reach it to the back of the mat, and then lift your hand all the way up to the ceiling. This is a modified side plank or a half moon. If you want a little bit more, you could lift this foot all the way up. Or you could keep it here, it's just fine. Really try to open the shoulder up to the side, reach up to the sky. You're gonna bend that right knee, point the toes towards the back, take this right hand, reach around, grab for the inside of that foot, shin, or ankle, and then kick into to that hand. And then take your eye gaze behind you. Just trying to stretch your shoulder out here. Slowly release your head. Bring that hand all the way up to the ceiling. And then bring that right hand down to meet the left. Come back into your tabletop. Push away. Let your hips sit down to your heels. Bring your forehead to the mat, coming into a child's pose. Focus on breathing here, in and out through your nose. Really reach your fingertips to the top of the mat. Take one more deep breath. And exhale. Take your eye gaze, look in between your hands. Slowly shift that body weight forward. Coming back into that tabletop position. I'm going to work on the right side. I'm going to flip around. Because it'll look funny. So you stay the way you are. I'm just going to do it this way. Place that right hand firmly on the mat. Spread those fingers wide. Kickstand that right foot out behind you. And then inhale, lifting that left hand to the sky. Reaching that left foot back. Make sure your shoulder's over your wrist here. Reach those fingers. Roll that shoulder down and out of your ear. Really try to pull this rib cage underneath your body to twist open. If you want to lift that foot up, flex those toes towards your face. You could do that as well. And if you do have your foot up, we're going to take that left knee, bend it. Reach around, grab for the inside of that shin, foot, or ankle, and then kick into that hand. If you're working on your standing bow, this can help you get better into that position, that pose. Go ahead and slowly release that foot. You don't want to slingshot it. Inhale that hand up. Reach, 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 and then exhale. Bring that left hand down to meet the right. Bring that left knee down. Push your hips back. Go into that child's pose. Child's pose is a good pose to do if you're feeling overwhelmed or there's a lot going on. It may sound funny, but come into this position if you're stressed out and you just need a moment for yourself. Go into your room or into the closet, lock the door, and really ground yourself here. This is a relaxing position. Breathing in and out through your nose. Take that eye gaze in between your hands. Slowly pull yourself up and through. Tuck those toes behind you. Lift the hips. Melt to push the mat away. Melt your... I can't talk. Melt your chest to your thighs. See, child's pose got me so relaxed I couldn't get the words out. We're going to just work on a little bit of a warrior series. Strong warriors to help us power through the rest of the day. So we're going to inhale, lift that right foot all the way up to the sky. Bring that right knee into your chest. Roll it forward. Place that right foot in between your hands. That back foot, we're going to drop it 90 degrees this time. Keep it at 90. Make sure it's parallel with the back of your mat. Heels should always be in alignment here. Keep this right knee bent. Bring that right hand inside of that right foot, and then inhale, left hand up, and then reach that left hand all the way towards the back, coming into that warrior pose. Make sure your knee is over that ankle. You don't want it going too much to the right or too much to the left. Make sure you're sinking down inside your hips. Don't have your booties popping out. We want to tuck through our hips. We want to have a nice long spine. Reach those hands out to the sides. Roll those shoulders back and down. Look over the right fingertips, and instead of trying to lean forward, keep yourself centered. You don't want to be too much in the future, too much in the past. You want to be right now in the present. I'm going to sink it down just a little bit more in those hips. This is Virabhadrasana 2. And we're going to take this right forearm, bring it to our right thigh. You don't want to put so much pressure. It's just kind of like a kickstand, and lift this left hand up over your head. Breathing in and out through your nose. And then inhale, come back to center. And try to keep your legs the same exact way, guys. Try to sink it down into those hips. Keep that knee over to your ankle. Reach those hands out. We're going to exhale, drop this left hand, lift the right, coming into a reverse warrior. Really reach up. I always like to do this, guys, because it really helps you get into that reverse warrior. Put your hand, make a 4 with your fingers. So you have a 4 with your fingers, your thumb. You want to hook that thumb on top of your rib cage. Use those 4 fingers and pull that rib cage around. Like you could see, if you could see me, guys, you could just pull your rib cage and really get into that reverse warrior. Still sink it down in those hips. Don't let that leg go straight. Sink it down. And then exhale, come back to center. Windmill those hands down, frame that foot. Twist that left foot. You're going to come high into the ball of those left toes. Stay right here just for a moment. Drop down on that back knee, that left knee. Let that shin go flat. We're going to keep our foot. You want to get your foot a little bit higher. We're going to dip into our hips a little. So we're going to stretch, coming into a dragon pose. You want to make sure this is the only time that we will stay to let your knee pass your toes. But you want to make sure your foot is completely flat on the mat. You're pushing your hips towards the mat. You don't want to be high on here. You don't want your foot to be coming up. Take a few breaths here. Inhale, reach those hands up and overhead. And then exhale, back bend just slightly. Inhale, you want to interlace those fingers, put them on top of that thigh, and then sink down in those hips just a little bit more. Really try to relax into this pose. Don't have your shoulders up. You want to just relax. If you know me, I always like to do a little bit of hip stretches in my yoga practice. I feel it's necessary for all of us. We carry so much stress and so much stuff inside of our hips, so it's good to loosen them up, shake it up, and let it out. Slowly bring your hands down, frame the foot, and then we're going to push our hips back, coming into a half splits. So you want to keep that first. Before you come high onto that heel of your foot, keep your foot flat. Leave your foot flat and keep pulling that right hip back. You should feel a nice stretch alongside of that front of your ankle there. Should feel really nice. We never stretch our ankles out this way. And then slowly come onto the heel of that foot. Point the toes, flex the toes. Sorry guys, not point. Flex the toes towards your face. Keep pulling that right hip back, left hip forward. Frame your leg with your hands. And instead of rounding and curling down, try to pull your chest up. Shine through your chest. So then you could really feel that hamstring stretch. Firmly place that left hand inside of that right leg and inhale, lift this left hand, or right, lift the right hand all the way up to the ceiling. Do a little balance challenge. And if you can't, that's totally cool. Stay with that right hand on the mat. Exhale, bring that hand down. Slowly bring that foot flat onto the mat. Tuck the toes behind you. Swing that right foot back to meet the left. Coming into your chaturanga pose. Exhale, halfway down. Inhale, up. Exhale, come down in through. Pull that chest up. Shine through your chest. Push to the tops of your feet. Tuck your toes, tuck your chin. Lift your hips. Remember, inhale in and out through your nose. Go into warrior on the left. Inhale that left foot all the way up to the ceiling. Bring that knee into your chest. Roll it forward. Place that foot in between your hands. Drop that back foot 90 degrees. Heel is always in alignment. Bring that left hand inside of that left foot. Reach the right hand all the way up to the ceiling. And then reach it all the way back. Hinge, 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 hinge. Coming into your warrior two. Remember, guys, like I was saying, we want to try to sink down into our hips. Keep that knee bent. You don't want it too much to the front or too much towards the back. Keep it right here, right over your ankle. Tuck through your tailbone. Reach those hands out. Look over the left fingertips. Roll those shoulders down and back. Be strong warriors. Remember, try to sink it down in those hips. Try to just relax into the pose. Bring that left arm, forearm to that left thigh. Reach that right hand up. Like I said here, guys, your left hand is more like a kickstand. You don't want to put all your weight into it. You should be able to even lift that arm up and have a little bit. This is just to help you. It's a little kickstand. Inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, drop the right hand, lift the left. And remember how I taught you that little trick? Try to grab the rib cage and pull it open to this side. Having something happen. Stay in that pose, sink down into your hips. Remember, stay there. Think about how strong you are. Just a few more seconds. And then inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, windmill those hands down, frame that foot. Come high onto the right of that ball of that right foot. And then slowly drop that right knee down. Let that foot go flat, shin go flat. And then wiggle your foot as much as you need to towards the top of the mat. And you want to push those hips forward. You really want to get into those hips. You want your knee to stay center as well. I should have explained this on the other side too. But you don't want it going to the left or to the right. You still want it centered in your body. Stay low down for a moment. Just try to relax into those hips. Inhale, we're going to rise, bring our hands up and overhead. And then exhale, cactus the arm, baby, back bend. Inhale, bring those hands up and overhead. Interlace those fingers, drop those palms on top of that thigh, and then sink down in those hips just a little bit more. The right and our left, we're on our left side. I should have said this on the right. Our right is our masculine side, left is our feminine side. One side might be tighter than the other. That's okay. Slowly come down, frame that foot, and then push those hips back. Remember, keep the foot flat for a moment. You want the foot flat, flat, flat on the ground, pulling your hips back. Let those hips fall back. Feeling that stretch right alongside of that front of that ankle. Slowly come high onto that heel of that foot. Flex your toes towards your face. Keep your hands framing your Sorry, I can't talk. Keep your hands framing that leg. And remember, don't try to round and curl. Try to shine through your chest. And if you want to place that right hand firmly on the mat. Lift that left foot. Don't lift your left foot. That might be hard. Lift your left hand all the way up to the sky. You want to, for balance, try to push through the top of that foot. Push through your shin. And then slowly bring that right hand down. The left hand down, guys, left hand. Place that left foot flat onto the mat. Tuck your toes, lift your knee. We're going to swing that left foot back to meet the right. Coming into your chaturanga flow, halfway down. Inhale up, exhale, come down and all the way through. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, push it back. Inhale, lift that right foot up, and then exhale, bring that right knee to that right elbow. Pause just for a moment. Exhale back. Or inhale, sorry. Exhale, bring that right knee, left elbow. Inhale back. And then bring that right knee, right elbow, and let that right knee fall all the way down to that wrist. Let the shin go flat. Sorry, I kicked the floor. Let that left leg go all the way back. You want to keep your hips squared to the mat. Your goal is to try to get one day your foot to be parallel with the top of the mat. And that doesn't have to be today, so it's okay. You can make sure you're still flexing your toes on the right side. If you have a block and your hips are not down towards the mat, you could always get this block and place it right here underneath your hip, and that helps with your balance. Pigeon has always been hard for me. If you know me, I like to run a lot, so this particular pose is really hard on my hamstrings and my hips. So since it's hard for me, I like to do it often because if you don't do it, you're not going to get better at it. You want to inhale, take that eye gaze up, look up to the ceiling. And then slowly, if you like, you could walk your hands all the way out. I always stop at my forearms, make sure my hips are still aligned, that I'm not dipping too much to the right or too much to the left. I'm in the center. If you have a block or a towel, you could bring that and place it on the floor and place your forehead onto the mat. You really try to relax into this pose. If you feel any pinching or if it hurts or and it's uncomfortable and doesn't feel good, please get out of the pose. Stay high up. Maybe you stay sitting. Wherever you're at, just try to relax. Breathing in and out through your nose. This pose here is cutting off circulation to our leg. So you might feel your toes go a little tingly. And yeah, that's how it's supposed to feel. It's we're preparing our legs to get fresh blood flow back into them. And I know I definitely need it because being quarantined, I am kind of lazy sometimes and I just sit around. So this is a good pose to get some blood back into our legs. Focus on your breath. You're all the way down. Slowly start walking your hands back towards your face. Just do a little tiny quad stretch. It feels good to do this. So bend that left knee. Point the toes. And before you turn around, I always like to say, place that right hand firmly in the middle of the mat, in the middle of your body. Push yourself, give yourself like a kickstand. Point those toes, reach around and grab for that foot, shin or ankle. Just a quad stretch. I don't know, I can't do mermaid. My legs are too tight. Slowly let that foot go. Don't slingshot it. Don't let it fall. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck the toes on the left side. And with this, guys, try to keep your knee into your chest. Don't let this right knee fall or touch the mat. So when you push yourself up, try to push yourself up. Bring that knee with you. Keep that knee into your chest. Push that right foot all the way up and back. Point the toes, and then bring it down. Pedal out your legs, bend that right knee, and then the left. You should feel that leg, that blood flowing all the way back down. Working on pigeon on the left side. Inhale, lift that left toes all the way up to the sky. Exhale, bring that left knee, left elbow, pause. Inhale, push it back. And then exhale, bring that left knee, right elbow, pause. Push it back. And bring that left knee, left elbow, slide it all the way down to your wrist. Let that shin go flat, and then let that right leg go out behind you. I always have to work wiggling it up, and that's fine. Remember, flex your toes on that left leg. Keep your feet active. It helps with the pose. You want to make sure you push the mat away. You're high up. If you have to use that block or pillow or towel, place it under that hip now. Take that eye gaze, look up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, bring your chin to your chest. Walk your hands out. Stop at your forearms, make sure your hips are still aligned, and then walk your hands all the way out. You'll also feel it here. You don't want to be dipping to the sides. Try to keep those hips centered, squared to the mat. Like I said on the other side, if you feel any pinching, like uncomfortable, get out of the pose. You don't want to hurt yourself. Remember here, think about that color, maybe your mantra that you've been working on. Really slow down your mind. We're almost to the end of class. Relax your jaw here. What is your tongue doing? Let that tongue settle down to the bottom of your mouth. Focus on your breath. Where you feel that stretch, where you feel it, where it's stretching, try to take a really, really deep breath in and send that air towards that spot. Help you settle, helps relax more into the position. It will help you relax more into the position. Take a couple more breaths here. Slowly start walking those hands back to your face. Kickstand that left hand in the middle of your body. You're going to stretch that quad on the right side, point the toes, bend that knee, reach around and grab for that inside of that foot. Should really feel good on that quad. Then slowly release that foot down. Bring those hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck the right toes. Remember, guys, push away. Bring that left knee into your chest. Roll it all the way up and back. Point the toes. Bring it down. Bend that left knee and then the right. Slowly shift that body weight over the wrists, coming into the plank. Bend your knees. Place them on the mat. Let your feet go flat. Let your shins go flat. And let your big toes and heels touch. Bring both knees out towards the mat. And we're going to come into a peaceful warrior. Let those hips sink down to your heels. Let your belly fall in between your thighs, and bring your forehead down to the mat. Really just trying to focus here on your breath. Reaching those fingertips towards the top of the mat. Let that belly hang heavy in between your thighs. Really relaxing here. Maybe you start massaging that third eye, your forehead, into the mat. Just calm your mind. Bring your hands to touch. Bring your elbows down onto the mat. Bring your hands into prayer. Keep them in a prayer position. And we're going to lift those hands up and over our head. Breathing in and out through your nose. Relax your jaw. I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in today with me. Getting a little yoga in for the day. Hopefully this helps you with your energy levels. Good energy. Focus on that breath. Inhale, let that belly fill up with air. And then exhale, bringing that belly towards your spine. Like I said again, guys, thank you for letting me guide you through your yoga practice today. From my heart to yours, namaste. Take as much time as you need to here. Maybe you want to roll onto your back and lay in Shavasana. You're totally okay to do that. Tomorrow I'll be doing a 90-minute live hot yen. It's not going to be hot. I mean, if you turn on the heater in your house, it'll be hot. But it's just going to be a 90-minute yen yoga class. Yen is going to be focused on holding the poses a little bit longer. We're not really going to be off of our mat. So in the morning, if you want to wake up with me at 9:30, I'll be here to stretch you guys out. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Namaste.